Hi there, Loy Machedo. Sweeney from LoyMachedo.com. Who is Loy Machedo? Think Personal Branding. Today the date is March 8th, 2018. Time right now is 12:11 in the afternoon. Now, for those of you new to my channel, the points are put in the description box below, so you can see the points that go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, the points with the timeline. So that will make it very easy for you. I'll try putting up a blog about this, and maybe I'll put it in the description box below as well. So if you just want the abbreviated version. Now, the first aspect that you need to focus on is you need to look the part. Now, by look the part, I normally, people, what they do is they say, yeah, Loy, I look the part. I would shower, I would, just put gel, look fresh, and I would be looking the part. Women normally tend to score more points with this than men because women always try to look the part. Men, on the other hand, don't actually spend as much time trying to look the part, unless, of course, the person's gay or the person's like metrosexual, where he always tries to look attractive and amazing. Lebanese are very fashionable. They're very fashion conscious. Some of the worst are Indians, Pakistanis, Sri Lankans, not for the fact that they do not know grooming, but rather they focus more on doing work rather than looking attractive. Now, what do I mean by look the part? By look the part, it's not just taking a shower. It's not just, dressing up in a nice suit. When I say look the part, these are the questions you need to ask yourself. Let's say, for example, you have been called. Okay, you have been called for a CNN interview, which is going to be broadcast to, let's say, 100 million people worldwide. And your video is going to be put on YouTube for the rest of your life. Now, I'm pretty sure if you had this opportunity to, let's say, be featured on CNN, you absolutely wouldn't just take a shower and go there. I'm pretty sure almost 100%, not even 99%, all of you would go to a professional groomer, you would go to a hairstylist, you would go to a makeup artist, you would go to getting a suit that was stitched. Sorry. You'd get a starched, crisp tie, a shirt, a tie. You would even invest in a watch. Some people would invest in accessories like a chain or rings or whatever. So I'm not saying get bling for the part of the interview, but the amount of effort that you take just to make sure you look amazing for the part of the CNN interview would be incredible. It's like on the day of your marriage. When you want to get married, you would look world class. In fact, I've seen people who literally, they look like laborers, they look like workers, construction workers, they look like toilet cleaners in real life, and that is how they are, and that is what they do. I'm not trying to put them down, but they look shabby, horrible. But for their wedding day, for that one day, they look like prince or princesses. They look amazing. They look like a king. So you need to look so amazing. You need to look so amazing that the person has one look at you and feels like, wow, this guy is definitely someone we should consider. Because remember this, there's never a case whereby someone looks so good, they say, no, he's too good to be true. We don't want him for this position. We want someone who's shabby. So invest in terms of your looks. Now, here's a caveat that I would suggest that you should keep in mind. Many people, especially Asians, Indians, Pakistanis, Sri Lankans, Bangladeshis, what they tend to do is they dress amazing for one day. They dress amazing for one day, and for the rest of their lives, they look horrible. Here's the thing: if you have never worn a suit in your life, if you have never wore, let's say, formal shoes, and you wear it for that one particular day, it will really look. It will look horrible. It will show that you're not comfortable. It's like this, for people who wear suits every single day, they're very comfortable in wearing a suit. They know how to move, adjust. They know what they need in a suit, in a formal outfit. For those people who never wear a formal outfit, and if they try to wear a formal outfit, they feel horrible. They feel suffocated. In fact, I remember when I was working in Citibank, this guy, he was the only second guy in our team that was completely filled with girls. So by the time I was kind of getting adjusted to wearing a suit, because those days I was also an MC, I was an anchor for shows and all that. So this guy, he was actually working in the credit department, and he used to wear jeans and just a normal t-shirt or shirt. So he got transferred to our department, that was sales. And the first day he came, he actually wore a purple suit, and he wore like, I don't know, he looked like one of those gang members, and he was looking so awkward. He was trying to walk like, he was professional. It didn't suit him well at all. It really looked terrible. And we could make out he was uncomfortable in wearing a suit. And after a few days, he got back to just wearing shirt and tie, formal. So the point I'm trying to tell you is, if you want to look the part, you need to get used to looking the part. So if you are going to wear a suit, if you're going to wear a tie, if you're going to look formal, practice wearing this for at least a month. Practice wearing it every single day. Practice wearing it during practice sessions so that you get comfortable. Because if you just wear it on the day of the interview, you do not know what can happen. You do not know what wardrobe accidents can take place, or maybe you just feel not in the zone. So practice wearing it every single day. That is why if you see people who work in Wall Street, or people who work in very high positions, the people who wear a suit, they seem so comfortable in it. It's like it's an extension of their personality. So the first point that I would say is look the part. So if you're going to approach, let's say, for a face-to-face interview in terms of Skype, make sure that you look the part. That's point number one. Point number two is, let me just put the timestamp. Once again. Point number two, which I'll tell you, is make sure that the environment is perfect. Now, the majority of people who come on a Skype interview or a video interview, they tend to have a background which is normally the wall, okay? And this is common with very many people. Some people have, let's say, in their living room. Some people have it, let's say, in the veranda. Now, I would strongly suggest, really strongly suggest that you have a background that is interesting and that adds value. Let's say, for example, now, there is a reason why I have kept this background of books. I've kept these books, I've kept these trophies right in the front, because these would be there in the house anyway. So what's the point of me keeping it in some hidden corner in the kitchen or in the bedroom where nobody can see it? I mean, when I'm speaking to you right now, I'm speaking to the whole world. I want the world to see my books. I want the world to see my trophies. I want the world to know that I'm a guy who, who reads books, who has this passion, because it adds value. Now, let's say, for example, if these books were not there, just a plain wall, that really sounds bland. If you see some of my previous videos, you would see that, those days I used to just have just a blank wall. In fact, just think about it. Let's say I'm going to give you a video. I'm having a video and I'm having heavy metal posters at the back, or I'm having, let's say, erotic posters at the back, and I'm speaking to you something that is formal. It doesn't make sense. So here, this looks like a very a kind of a library, a kind of an office setup, and it gives an added value. In fact, I used to keep my library of books in the hall room, and whenever I would have guests coming in, they would look at my library and say, wow, this guy must be well-read, he must be an intellect, he must be smart. Now, I did that on purpose. I did that on purpose because, yes, I do like to read books, but I wanted the first impression. So you need to make sure that the environment that you're in gives them a kind of impression about you, because keep this in mind, the principle of 47303, that's one of the theories that I developed, is when people look at you within 4 seconds, they will judge you. It's like you're black, you're white, you're a good guy, you're a bad guy, you're fat, you're thin, you're ugly, you're beautiful, whatever. They'll judge you unconsciously, and that is part of our nature. Then 7 seconds is where you speak the first few words, and that is where they form the impression. So this is the slot whereby the 7 seconds, they're looking around, they're checking you out, and they're looking at you. So that is why when you enter an office, you would look around. You look around and see, okay, this frame, this frame, this frame, this table. So if things are not kept tidy, you judge them. That is why when you go to a doctor's office, they normally keep their certificates and their plaques right at the top, so people can see and say, wow, this doctor must be really qualified. Okay. So point number 2 is make sure that your environment really supports and enhances your image. Now, the question obviously is, if your house is not good, let's say you have only a wall, you don't have anywhere else, where do you go? Okay, if that is the case, just make sure there's a decent frame or something on the wall that looks nice. That will always help. Make sure the lighting is good. Okay, the lighting is good. Don't have something that is blaring a light on your face. One of the suggestions I have is put your video camera on and have a look. And make sure that your laptop or the device that you have is kept at this level. See, that is why I have the video camera of my iMac kept here, and I've raised my iMac slightly up. Please don't have the camera down where it looks up at you like this. That's not good. Another thing which I'd point out is make sure that the lighting is such whereby when you speak and move your hands, the shadow is not shown on the wall. That's very important. And please, this goes without saying, please do not have a dirty wall. There are some people who I've actually seen, I'm not even exaggerating, when I've had a conversation with some people, they've had their laundry. I actually saw one guy, he hung his underwear on a line, on a rope line. I was like, what the fuck are you doing, man? And, you know, there are some people who have like a really horrible background. And please do not have a background where you have the fan, ceiling at the top, or, you know, people are running around, or your parents or your children or your relatives are walking around. Make sure that you're in total control of your environment. And if you have one of those very traditional setups where you're in a very like old kind of a house, that also gives a really bad impression. So I would suggest maybe you can go to a Starbucks, or maybe you can go to one of those places where you're looked upon, you know, as someone who's modern, as someone who's contemporary. In fact, if needs be, go to a friend's house or go somewhere and test pilot. Have a test. Do it with a friend of yours and have a look at the pictures. In fact, what I do sometimes is I take a photograph. I have a photograph. I take a photograph of myself and I enhance the image. I make it full screen and I look around, because remember this. When someone is taking an interview, maybe they're looking at it on a very large screen. So sometimes I need to be careful now. You know, maybe they would zoom in and, you know, kind of read the books or the titles at the back. So imagine if I had Kama Sutra just sitting there, you know, the attention will go there. So just make sure every aspect of your environment that comes in the video frame looks amazing. So point number 2 is the environment. Now, point number 3, let me just put the timestamp. Point number 3 is the accessories. Now, what do I mean by accessories? Now, if you have seen my videos previously, you'd notice I didn't have the headphones. I didn't have the microphone that is here. Now, obviously, these are accessories to my personality. Now, the standard accessory that I have that I can't remove is obviously my tattoos. Now, there are people who tend to have accessories like glasses. There are some people who have chains. There are some people who have rings. Now, if you do have these accessories, even if you're a girl and you have earrings and you have a chain, just make sure that the accessories add value and enhance your image and not distract the person. I kind of remember my ex-wife. She was supposed to go for an interview, and she asked me like, what do you think I should be wearing? So obviously I give her my opinions, and you know, women, they'll ask you, but they'll eventually make up their own mind. However, it came to one critical part where she wore earrings, and this particular earring that she wore was this, you know, one like an Indian one with a big flat frame with a lot of hanging, bits of beads, okay, silver beads. So, and it was dangling like this, and she wore it. So immediately when I looked at it, I told her, listen, I need you to take that out. Okay, she said, why? And as she kept moving, the whole thing kept dangling. It was really big. I mean, it was like 50% of my hand size. So I told her that this is distracting. It'll really distract someone. You're not going for a fashion parade. You're going for looking the part for the job. So she didn't seem very convinced, and I was trying to push the point, and I didn't want to kind of get her upset. So what I told her is, I immediately told her, do me a favor, okay? I want you to be mentally really strong and in the zone. Just Google, just search CEO, lady CEOs, and I want you to see which photograph, which video, which interview. She loved Indra Nooyi. So I said, check out Indra Nooyi and tell me which video or photograph of Indra Nooyi, the CEO of Pepsi, has these earrings. So immediately she checked out Indra Nooyi because she admires Indra Nooyi. And she noticed Indra Nooyi never wore those big dangly earrings. She checked different photographs of different CEOs. None of them had those big dangly earrings. They had really small, or maybe some of them were not even visible. So immediately my wife took it out, and ex-wife, and she wore the small ones, which are not distracting. Later on, when she came back, she kind of thanked me for it. And she said that she did speak to a colleague after the interview. She did speak to a manager, and she asked about and they said, we're glad you didn't wear it because we were not looking for someone who, excessively flaunts fashion stuff. In fact, one of her competitors, apparently she found out she was wearing a dress that really showed her cleavage, and she was wearing this big pearly necklace and all, and she got marked down for it. So just make sure that your accessories kind of support you. Now, if you're a guy, please do not have big rings. If you have even those religious rings and all that, ask yourself, is it appropriate for the interview? Okay, a wedding ring I can understand, but don't have more than that. Don't have those big stones and luck stuff and all that. And there are some of the Indian guys tend to have these religious threads. Now, I don't think it's a problem in India because most of them wear it. However, if you are talking of a global company, if you're talking of being in the UK, US, New Zealand, they are not very comfortable with those threads, religious threads, and that can be looked down upon. Another thing is, please keep in mind the perspective of the job. I remember once when I was conducting an interview with the CEO of a company for an engineering company. He had called me on as a consultant because he knew me. He wanted to select the right candidate to be an engineer. And this guy, apparently, he was having this amazing watch, really an amazing watch with diamonds on it. I'm not exaggerating. And it was really shining. And I just exclaimed and I told him, man, you're the first candidate in my life who have seen, watch that really has bling in it. I mean, wow. So he immediately said, oh, thanks. I appreciate that you like it. I said, which brand is it? So he said, it's a Rolex. So I was like, wow, okay. Well, a candidate who's coming as an engineer, many levels lower than my actual designation or position with the company, and he has a Rolex. After the interview was over, when I spoke to the CEO, it was between him and another guy. The other guy was pretty simple. So I asked him, why not this guy, the Rolex guy? So my CEO said, I just feel it's an excess. It's too much of an excess. It doesn't look normal to employ someone who can afford a Rolex. That shows the guy is too fashionable, and maybe he would not stick around very long because he wants to show off. So it kind of backfired, and he didn't actually get the job because he was actually showing off Rolex. Now, I don't know whether it was a real Rolex, a fake Rolex, second-hand Rolex, whatever, but it was a Rolex, and it was like, wow, I have never forgotten that incident. So just make sure that your accessories add value. Now, here's one more thing you need to keep in mind. When you're having the interview, in fact, one of my clients, he had glasses, glasses, and the glasses that he wore actually reflected the screen that he was talking to. So when we were doing the interview session, he kept having the camera. I could see it in his glass. He had the camera here, Skype, and here he had a Word document, okay, that was kept open. So I was looking at it, and it could be seen in on the screen, on the reflection in his glass. And then I noticed as we were talking, he was busy browsing Facebook. He was busy browsing Facebook. I could just see it. It was very obvious. It was Facebook. He was scrolling. And I was just talking to him, and we were having this session. Later on, I asked him, why are you browsing Facebook? And he said, what? Facebook? No, I'm not looking at Facebook. I said, say, listen, I can see it, the reflection in your glasses. And he was quite taken aback. He was pretty embarrassed, and he apologized. So what I'm trying to tell you is, if you have glasses, people can see what you're doing. So if you're going to have the interview and you're looking at a Word document, they can see it in your glasses. So be careful of that. The accessories, okay? So just make sure whatever accessories you have, it adds value and doesn't take away value, okay? That's very, very important. Now, the next point that I would keep in mind, point number 4, let me just put a, timestamp, okay? Point number 4 is the enthusiasm. Now, when you're talking about having an interview, remember this: your energy, your enthusiasm, your exuberance, it can affect the mood of the interview. It can impact. Now, for example, let's say I came here, live from Machedo.com, who's live Machedo, think personal branding. This kind of gives you a feel. And if on the other hand, when I'm speaking, I'm like, lawyer from Machedo.com, who's Lloyd Machedo, and so it really shows. So when you have, remember this, when you walk into a house, and if you have a pet, especially if you have a dog, the dog just focuses on you. He wags his tail with enthusiasm. He has like crazy energy. He jumps on you. He just wants you to notice him, to pet him, to be with him. So you know for a fact the dog is just focused on you. And that is why men really love dogs. So, and that is why when a really beautiful girl comes in, all eyes are like, ooh, we're just looking at her. And the girl knows it. So what I want you to understand is, when you're applying for a job, make sure that your enthusiasm levels are high. Make sure that you're fresh. Make sure that you're focused. Make sure that you are in the zone. So even when you're sitting down, don't sit down like this. Don't sit down slouch. Sit alert. Have a C shape on your spine. Make sure that your spine is curved. Make sure your chest is up. Make sure that you're focused. And if required, even keep your elbows front, so you can literally look into the person and talk to the person. Because I'm telling you this, when you have a Skype conversation, they feel it. In fact, even if you have an audio conversation on the phone, I would highly recommend that you stand and walk. You stand and walk, or you stand and talk. Don't sit down and be relaxed, because they can literally feel it. At the other end of the line, they can feel it. It's like your delivery, the way you speak, the way you make them feel, they can sense it. Okay, so make sure that you have visible enthusiasm, and the benefit of showing visible enthusiasm is it shows interest in the job. It shows leadership skills. It shows you're the man for the job or the woman for the job. So be clear about the enthusiasm factor, and keep this in mind. Maybe, just maybe, you're the last candidate. Maybe they have 30 interviews. Maybe they have 10 interviews and they're tired. So you will be that injection of freshness. You will be that person who would really drive them amazing. I got this call from Singapore, but anyway, I'll take it later. So the point I'm trying to put across is the fact that you really need to show enthusiasm. You really need to show energy, and that will really drive home the point. So enthusiasm is very necessary. Enthusiasm is like this injection that will set you apart from everyone else. So make sure that you have visible enthusiasm, and that really helps. Final point on enthusiasm is, given a choice between two candidates, I would always prefer someone who has enthusiasm, who can rally the troops, who can motivate the troops, who can bring life into a routine. So enthusiasm is very, very necessary. Okay. So the next point, point number 5, is the voice. Now, I know for a fact many of you are not aware of how you sound. Try this exercise. Take a video Most of you have webcams or whatever. Take a video of yourself speaking. Just take a video. And then after you've spoken for 5 minutes, stop it, put it on full screen, put the volume max, sit down and watch. I can assure you one thing, you would cringe. You would absolutely cringe watching yourself speak. And then I want you to compare yourself to the world's best speaker, whoever it is. It can be Obama, it can be, let's say, a leader, it can be Elon Musk, it can be whomsoever, it can be Tony Robbins, whomsoever. Compare yourself to that person and see where you stand. Because here's the thing, whether you like it or not, during an interview, you will be compared to somebody else. You'll be contrasted to somebody else. And that really, really will either decide whether you do it or not. So your voice is very, very important. Most of the people do not know how they sound. In my case, I had a nasal voice, that is, I speak from the nose, from here. There are some people who speak from the lungs. There are some people who speak from the diaphragm. This is where I speak from now, from years of practice. There are some people who have a squeaky voice. There are people who have a shrill voice. There are people who have breathy voice. So you need to practice. And the only way to practice is to speak loudly, to speak clearly, and to practice warming up your vocal cords. One of the best examples that I've given in terms of improving your voice is, this is an example that I do. There are 2 ways of doing this. One is take a pencil or a pen, okay, preferably a pencil so you can clutch on it. It has a wooden feel to it. Take it, put it in your mouth here, and bite on it. After you bite on it, you should try speaking. Let's say, for example, now I were to speak like this, and I put this pen in my mouth here, and then I start to speak. What happens is that I cannot speak unless I really move my lips, my jaw, which is clutched, and my tongue. That is why you can hear the click, 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 because it is clicking on the pen. Now, what happens is when you keep doing this over and over again, let's say for 5 minutes, automatically when you take out the pen, your mouth muscles, your lips, your jaw, everything is exaggerated and it's stronger. And this really helps you in being a better speaker. In fact, if you would like to make it much more tough, go with this. This was a pen which had a very small, a very small kind of width. And this one is a marker pen. So I would use a marker pen, which is even more difficult. So I would put this, and then I'd start speaking for 5 minutes. And then if needed, I would even go something really, really big. Sorry, this one's slippery. But I would wrap a kind of a sticker, kind of cloth, and then I'd try. And it would be very hard. The reason for this is it kind of forces you to use your mouth to pronounce. Most of the Asians, where they tend to have, even for that matter, Americans, British, some of them really speak. They speak like this. They think that everything that you speak you can understand. Now, you would be surprised. They think they sound legible. They don't. Now, if you take even Irish, I was in Dublin, Ireland. These guys, not all of them, many of them thought they were absolutely clear. That is why an Australian doesn't understand an American doesn't understand someone from India or Australia. A Brit doesn't understand what an American says. American doesn't understand what a British national says. Like, for example, my Irish friends, they used to say, "Would you like WW?" I was like, "What? What did you just say?" And they, what do you say? What to say? So it may sound funny when an Indian says, what? But at the same time, these guys from the West, they also sound ridiculously funny. So now here's the thing, if you're Chinese, you will sound Chinese. If you're Indian, you would sound Indian. If you're American, you'll sound Indian. I don't expect you, being an Indian, to suddenly come, "Hi, my name is Kuti, and I am Indian from Kerala." Don't do that. Please don't do that. Don't try putting on a fake accent. That is not the point. When I'm speaking about voice, I'm speaking about pronunciation. Agreed that none of us are English experts, but at least make an effort to, articulate the words properly. That is why when I speak to you, this is now second nature to me. Many people think I'm putting on an accent. This is how I speak because each and every word I pronounce. I've been a public speaker, professional speaker for, I would say, 16, 17 years now. So it's become second nature to me, but I wasn't like this before. Now, obviously, if you have an interview, you can't suddenly, condense 17 years of speaking. So the only shortcut that I'd give you is put a pen in your mouth or a pencil, speak for 5 minutes. That would warm up your jaw, your vocal cords, and your ability to speak. Some of the other techniques that I give, I tell people sing a little bit, hum a little bit, try different, all these, like do, re, mi, fa, sol, no, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, do, di, la, so, fa, mi, re, sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa, sa, ni, da, pa, ma, re, sa. You go fast, you go slow, go high, you go low. I used to do this mistake. I used to scream loudly for 5 minutes, keeping the pillow so that my neighbors wouldn't think I'm mad. But that can harm your vocal cords. Be careful of that. Okay. So point number 5 is your voice. Make sure that your voice sounds great. Given a choice between two people, one guy who has a powerful voice, another guy who has squeaky voice, the guy with the powerful voice normally gets selected much better. Okay. Point number 6. Let me just write it down. The timestamp. Point number 6 is body language. Now, when you're speaking, now I'm actually using, okay, normally I don't, but if I'm speaking to someone who's important, sometimes it's necessary to have, it's like the actions necessary. Like, for example, now let's give you planned. Now this is planned. I'm actually making an emphasis. So you saw, did you see? Now, if I sit like this, I'm actually making an emphasis on what I want to say. You see, my shoulders are still moving, okay? So your body language is very, very important. That is why some of the most successful people use their hands. It's like a magician. He wants you to look this side, but he is going to do something from this side. So it's either misdirection or he wants to, make a point, put a point across. So you see, this was planned, okay? This was planned. But as you keep trying, now this was not planned. I was speaking. So as you keep incorporating body language into your communication skills, it not only gives confidence, it not only engages the speaker, it makes you look the part, it makes you look like a leader. So it's very important for you to have really strong body language skills. And some of the ways I suggest and recommend for you to improve your body language skills, one is, let's say you have a speech. This is what I would do. I would give a speech by saying the speech, but not actually making the words come loud. Let's say, for instance, let's consider this line. I worked very hard to achieve success. Okay, now I would first do the speech without any body language. I worked very hard to achieve success. Now I would do it with body. I worked very hard. So you can see the expressions on my face. This comes natural. I worked very hard to achieve success. Now, obviously, this is more like dramatic. But then what I do is, without saying loudly, so here what I've done is, I'm experimenting to see, how do I show I worked hard? I worked hard to achieve success. So I'm trying to differentiate between both work hard, achieve success. Now, obviously, you're not going to say, I worked hard to achieve success. No. When you kind of loosen your shoulders, when you kind of like, the McGregor, he was doing all this exaggerated stuff and he wanted to go into boxing. When you kind of loosen your shoulders, when you have freedom to move, it's like a rubber band. You stretch it very hard, it comes to a certain point of balance, and that's where. So if you're really cold, you would not move. So it's very important for you to show body language, and the body language that you show what is appropriate, and that comes with a little bit of experience. So just try, loosen yourself a little bit, just loosen yourself and try. One is speaking, then speaking with the body language, and then without the body language. And what I'd suggest you to do is, take a 1 minute clip, 3 1-minute clips, one without body language, one with body language and action, with words and body language, and last one with only body language. Open 3 video screens on your computer, that is if you have that function, and look at all 3 for that 1 minute and see which one jumps out without the volume. So that would kind of give you the actions. And sometimes what I do is I watch a whole video without volume, and then I check the actions which are distracting, because some of them can be like if you do this, you would not believe this, but some of my college professors used to do point number 3. It can really be distracting when you do a wrong action. Some people say, 1 point. And I had a client who actually used to 1 point, and I told him, listen, stop doing that. You look very feminine when you do that, So there'll be certain actions. I used to have the habit of really doing this and this, and, sometimes, just cleaning up my nose. So you need to avoid actions that are distracting. Okay, just stop that. So view your body language, study your body language, figure out a way how you can enhance your body language so that it gives you stronger points to actually get the interview. And remember this, the guy who gives not overly exaggerated, don't just go, I want to show you body language, do what is purposeful, have strong body language, power body language. And power body language you can get by one of the ways which I do it is, because I was a bodybuilder, I used to take slight weights and I used to keep moving my arms, so the shoulders, the area kind of like had a slight tension to it, but it had a slow forcefulness. It was not like, just fast, like, don't go in the gayish way, like how, go with power. All right, nothing against gays, but I'm just telling you, you will be judged. So make sure that your body language is strong. Okay, so that's point number 6. Now, point number 7, let me put a timestamp, is creating the demand, or what do I call the trailer. So what do I mean by the trailer? I want you to imagine the movies which would be coming out. Let's say, for example, now currently, since it is 8th March 2018, the movie that everyone's anticipating and waiting for is the Avengers Infinity War. Now, we have seen trailers of Spider-Man, his hand raising up, then we've seen Thor without the hammer, we've seen Captain America having a new shield, we have seen, Iron Man may die, we have seen, that guy, I forgot the villain's name, he has the Infinity Stones in his hand, so he's going to come and kill everyone else. So there's so much of hype being created. Keep this in mind that when you go for an interview, you need to have the same trailer effect. You need to show the best parts of you. You need to show them that if you take me, this is what you will expect. This is what I will do. This is what I can achieve. However, keep in mind, don't overly hype the trailer. Don't overly hype you. Like, if you can achieve 100, don't say, I will achieve 10,000 and I will show you. I will die for the company. Here's me speaking from experience. When I was young, when I was in 20s, because I used to read these hyper motivational books, inspirational stuff, I used to read all this amazing motivational stuff. I used to go there, whoa, like, I will achieve anything. I will die for the company. I was so hyper. I was so pumped up. I was so amazing. I was so in the zone. I used to follow Tony Robbins' peak techniques. The guys would feel, whoa, this guy's like, wow, he's going to change the company. He's going to steamroll the entire company. He's going to knock the sales out, and he's going to create wonders. So I had given them such high expectations. When I actually joined the company, they found out I was not able to even deliver 5%. So there's a fine line between creating a demand, making yourself like the trailer, okay, and being super hyper. So what I would say is make it so interesting that they would say, wow, we really need to consider the guy. Keep it at that. Don't make it like, this guy is so good, oh my goodness, we must give him the job or we're going to regret it. Because if you make it so high, you will lose the job. Remember, every company that takes you has this probationary period where they don't owe you anything and they can actually tell you bye-bye. So if you hype yourself too much, it's like you have said goodbye to the stable job that you have. You take up this job and then they throw you out. And if you didn't have any job and you were desperate to get a job and then you get thrown out, it'll depress you even more. So it's going back to square one. So keep a fine balance and between creating a trailer. So what you do is, when you're trying to sell yourself, ask yourself, what could I have said? These are the important questions. What could I have said if I only could sell myself for 10 seconds? What would I have said if I could only say the best of the best for 30 seconds? What is the best thing that I could have said if I had only 1 minute? So you start up with 7 minutes. Remember, 7 minutes, you must have word for word every possible thing that you want. And that is what I do when I sit down with my clients. I prepare word for word the 7-minute speech, word for word. Okay, that takes experience. I can do it in a few minutes. It takes maximum an hour or 3 hours if the client is not aware of who he is. But for most clients, like when I started, I didn't have a mentor. It took me a couple of years. I'm not joking. It took me a couple of years to really get it right. So you need to have word for word the speech, the amazing script of yours for 7 minutes. Then ask yourself, if from 7 minutes the guy says, you're only 6 minutes, obviously you need to get rid of 100 words. So now you have 600. Then the guy says, okay, you prepared 6 minutes, your best pitch, fine. What if 5 minutes? Now you have to get rid of another 100 words. Then 4 minutes, then 3 minutes, then 2 minutes. Then what if he says, you have only 1 minute, give me your best shot. So in the 1 minute, you need to give the best 100 words. But what if he says 30 seconds? And finally, what if he says, only give me one line of 10 seconds. So you need to give the ultimate. So what I would say is make a trailer of yours and give the best, number 1 first, then number 2 next. So put it that way and keep in mind, whether you like it or not, you will be compared to other people. So there's a fine line between overhyping yourself, trying to show that you're the best of the best, and showing the best of who you are. So just make sure that between the job description, between your personality and between what you're trying to sell, there's a fine line, okay? And sit down with someone who you respect, someone who is an industry expert, someone who's very good at selling, and get this. Okay, and if you don't get anyone, you can come to me, but I'll charge you. Okay, let's move to the next one, and that is point number 8. Now, content. Now, many people, what they tend to do is when they have a resume, they'll jazz it up with amazing designs. They'll put a header, they'll put a footer, they'll put a design. Some even have tried flowers, some have tried contemporary, some have tried amazing creative CV. Some have even bought a CV in a box. I'm not exaggerating, an actual box. Some have tried colors, fonts, designs. They've gone to Photoshop editors, illustrators. They've tried literally every possible scenario. In fact, some of the crazy stuff that I've done in the past is when my friend applied for Emirates Airlines, I remember designing a CV with sky at the back, Emirates Airlines. Silly stuff that I've done, which I wouldn't do today. But come on, that is what I thought would work. So, however, this really doesn't work. You can try copying a template, you can try copying a design. It really doesn't work. Because if there's one thing that works, it's content. Content is king, and that is what I tell people. But now here's the thing. If you try to copy someone else's resume, the words, and you incorporate it in your CV, you're making a very big mistake. You're really making a very big mistake by doing that, because it's like, you know, me going for a marriage proposal and I'm giving the girl somebody else's lines. I'm handsome, I'm understanding, it would be a perfect mismatch, because maybe you can fool them with the words, but eventually they'll know you're telling them lies. And I'll tell you this, for HR professionals, for industry professionals, for people who have been in the field for many, many years, we know for a fact when you're lying. We know for a fact when you're bullshitting. We know for a fact you're bluffing. So please do not copy someone else's resume. Do not copy. Even if you're tempted, don't copy the content. It will backfire. Now, in terms of an interview, if you're going for a video interview, don't copy phrases from other people. Create your own authentic, original content. Now, when I say this, that doesn't mean you copy phrases. You need to be original. Now, what do I mean by original? Whenever I speak to people, let's say someone, when I was called for an interview with the director of LG to give them a seminar, for their peak performance employees. The guy called me and said, Lloyd, tell me why. Tell me why should I take you, man? And I said, let me tell you the 3 reasons why you should take me. 3 reasons. Okay? Number 1 is I'm going to disrupt your workflow. I'm going to rock the boat, and I'm going to ensure people resign from your company. Just imagine that. I'm going to disrupt your workflow. I'm going to rock the boat. And I'm going to make sure people resign from your company. And he was like, what? So it's like, Lloyd, you have just given me the reasons why I shouldn't take you. Now I'm even more sure that I shouldn't be taking you. I said, exactly. Now you can ask me why. He's like, yeah, go ahead, tell me why. You're the first guy who has actually told me this. So what I did is, I gave him content which was absolutely amazing, which was absolutely shocking, which nobody else would have said. He later on told me, in the history of my life, I've never met anyone who have told me this, and I was able to give him the reasons why that he should take me, even though it sounded like no. I was able to convince him why I will convince his key players to resign. I will rock the boat and disrupt the workflow. And he was like, wow, Lloyd, nobody gave me that answer. And this is because, it was my original content. In fact, I'm the only guy, I'll tell you, I'm the only guy who came out with something so shocking. So when I would have sales during GITEX, during these exhibitions, I would tell people, don't buy this product for these flaws. And people would be saying, why is he telling us the flaws? Everyone's saying this laptop is good because of X, Y, Z. And here he's having, don't buy this for X, Y, Z. So make sure that your content is so authentic, is so original, is so amazing, is such a standout that people say, wow, man, I need to listen to you. I need to talk to you, you're the guy. And then slowly rope them in and convince them. Point number 9. Okay, point number 9. Now, this one is by far the hardest part of the whole interview, and that is the scripting. Now, I never knew about this until I participated in the World Championship of Public Speaking. The first phase was the Middle East Championship of Public Speaking. My mentors were there in Toastmasters for public speaking. Look, there's a mosquito. My mentors were there for public speaking. I never knew the importance of scripting. So just to tell you, I was part of Toastmasters, which is a non-profit organization for public speaking, because I wanted to improve and I love competing. So they had asked me to, they said, we'll support you if you want to take part in the Middle East Championship. So I said, fine. And I didn't know scripting. I just thought, write down something and go to him. So when I wrote down this speech and I took it to him, you'd not believe this. 1,500 words speech, which I'd written down. He looked at the 1,500 words, and first what he did is, it was on Word. Every sentence, he pressed enter, and there was a little bit of space. So where the speech was like exactly in 2 pages, all of a sudden it went down to like 20 pages or 30 pages with each one line and space. I was like, why is he doing this? And then each sentence, he broke it down into phrases. And you'll not believe me when I tell you this. My mentor, Lucky Savlani, he is a very senior Toastmaster. He went down to every word. Like, for example, he would say that, let's say, for example, I'm reading this, let's say, you will fail, you'll be judged because racism exists, okay? You will fail, enter, you will be judged, enter, because, enter, racism exists. So he would look like, you will fail. What about failure will come to you? What about, instead of you will be judged, failure and judgment will become a part of your life? What about racism? What if we switch over and say, racism will grab you with its ugly claws, or racism will push its ugly claws of judgment and failure into you, into your flesh. So you see how something like you'll be judged, you will fail, you'll be judged because racism exists. And I kind of made it a very like descriptive statement where I kind of like personified. I gave it life, where I said racism will push its claws of judgment and failure into your flesh and hook you. So, we would try this. We would literally try this, each and every word. And you'd not believe, for the next 6 hours, we would evaluate each and every word, check the thesaurus, check a replacement. That was crazy. I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. And you'd not believe this. We literally went through 849 drafts over the period of 1 year. In fact, he stopped and I kept going through it because I wanted to figure out that something extra that would be there. I would check one word and check, like go to the thesaurus and check like 25, 30 different word selections for this. And I tried to find, does this word match with this? Does these 2 words match with the 3rd word? And I would try to play around. So the art of scripting is whereby you check each and every word, each and every sentence, each and every paragraph, to make sure that it is all engineered into one perfect flow, into a rhythm, into a story, into a kind of a music, a kind of symphony, which really makes it stand. And that is very, very important. So point number 9 is just make sure the scripting is done brilliantly. And here's the thing, whether you like it or not, you would have to go to someone who has experience. You can't do it by yourself if you don't have experience. Here's one thumb rule that I would ask you to consider. Make sure that your resume, make sure that your personality, make sure that the work description, all 3 are mixed together and given the perfect description. One very important rule, don't use the words that you use to describe you, describe the job into your lexicon or into your delivery, because everyone does that. The normal, average, everyday, ordinary guys, they will use these words. So someone said, we are looking at someone who's a team player and someone who's focused and leadership. They say, I'm a team player, I'm focused on leadership. Don't do that. Come on, they're not stupid, they're not dumb, okay? And when you have 10 people or 20 people and you ask them the same question and you get the same response, it'll backfire. So scripting has to be done with creativity, has to be done with purpose, has to be done with intuitiveness and experience. So please make sure that scripting is done perfectly. And last, if not the least, I've come down exactly at the 1 hour mark. Okay, last but not the least, it is your personal brand. Now, it's not because I'm a personal branding strategist that I'm telling you this. Whether you believe me or you don't believe me, whether you accept it or whether you don't accept it, please keep in mind, your personal brand is the one that sets you apart. Now, let's say, for example, when you saw me, what is the first thing that stood out? Obviously, my tattoos. That's the first thing that stood out, okay? Because that is part of my brand. What would be the next thing that is stand out? Obviously, it would be the books. That is a part of my brand. If you see my videos, I use a lot of fuck this, fuck that. I use a lot of controversy and shock. That is part of my brand. I'm very talkative. I have long videos. That's a part of my brand. You'll see me once, you'll never forget me. That's charisma. That's part of my brand. So, controversy, the first C. Charisma, you'd never forget me. Communication, I talk too much. These 3 C's are part of my brand. This has taken me years and years to hone, to develop, to make myself stand out. Because here's the thing, there are so many coaches, all wear a suit and tie, all like to show, I'm perfect, I'm nice, I'm in a formal atmosphere, I'm going to change your life, I'm happy. But here is one coach, me, who is tattooed, who uses profanity, who tells you I've slept with prostitutes, I've had so many women, I even had sex with ladyboy transgender, I've had 450 relationships, I cheated on my previous wives, I have failed, I've lost money, I tried to commit suicide. Now, this is a shock because no professional guy does this. In fact, many people have said, how the hell can you guide me when you have done all this rubbish? And my answer to them is, because I've done all these mistakes, I can tell you what not to do. I can share with you my experience of having done it. I can tell you where you'll slip and I can evaluate you much better. It's like Me talking about alcohol, drugs, steroids, bodybuilding, failure, without actually having experiences. So I'm giving you how to raise your child without actually having a child. It's like me telling a woman, when you're pregnant, the pain will be like this without having been a woman. Now, yes, there are some people who can empathize with you, who will tell you, this is the best way to raise a child. This is the best way. But then again, he's only assuming. It's very different when you have a child. Like, for example, me, I have tattoos. I can tell you how it feels. I can actually tell you how it feels. I can give you a template, a guideline, what to do, what not to do. However, if there's a tattoo artist with years of experience, he would be much better than me. And if you compare to a guy who never has tattoos but is going to tell you about tattoos, that's rubbish. So your personal brand is an encapsulation of all your experience, is your ability to communicate with your experience, but is your ability to stand out from the rest of the crowd. And where does it apply in terms of interviews is, if everyone else was wearing a black suit and one guy wears, let's say, t-shirt, that guy with the t-shirt will stand up. If everybody else was saying, employ me, take me because of I'm hardworking, I'm leadership, and I'm focused, one guy says, I'm lazy, I get distracted, I'm a rebel, but I will be your highest earning employee. The revenues that I give in my company is 10 times more than my nearest competitor. And that's what I'll give you. So guess who stands up? So your personal brand has to be like the iPhone among all the phones, like the Tesla among all the cars, like the Elon Musk among all the entrepreneurs. You need to stand out. And that comes with carefully crafting an image, a feel, an experience, which takes time. I spent the first 36 years of my life just doing things. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where I was headed. I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea. But then when I became obsessed with myself, that's where the real brand came out. So personal branding is an exercise that is not a short-term thing, that is not that you can just get within a few days. It takes years and years to develop, to hone. It's like Pepsi knows what it stands for. Coca-Cola knows what it stands for. Marlboro knows what it stands for. Apple knows what it stands for. This took years and years. So obviously you wouldn't have years and years before an interview, but remember, it's you starting somewhere rather than nowhere. And here's one thing which I want you to keep in mind. If you do not develop your brand and hone it and make it stand out, one day it'll be too late. And that one day is the day you become ordinary like everyone else. Competition has overtaken you, and then it's too late. And then you'll be relegated to taking up a job, holding on to a job with your dear life until you're no longer employable. Remember, the part of personal branding is the ultimate form of selling. It's the ultimate form of being employed. It's the ultimate form of being recognized in a crowded marketplace. The reason I stand out, the reason I'm in, even though imagine this, I'm in Thailand. I'm in a forest in Koh Samui, an island which is in the middle of the bloody sea. And I get clients worldwide because I stand out. I stand out. Now, many people say I'm a fraud, I'm cheating people. Fine. How is it I'm sustaining and surviving? So maybe I'm getting a sucker every minute. Maybe out of 7 billion people, I can fool maybe 1 or 2 per month. Yet, I'm successful. I'm able to survive. Are you able to do the same thing? If you're stuck in one organization for 10 years, or 3 years, or 5 years, you're not a personal brand because you have blended in. A personal brand is one that every year he evolves, he grows, he improves, he becomes better, he becomes more noticeable. And his earning per hour is increasing because inflation is increasing, because expenses are increasing. If you're not charging more per hour, then you're not growing as a personal brand. And for this to happen, you must work with someone who's professional. I work with 2 or 3 professional guys who are ex-employees of Google, who have worked with Facebook. I've teamed up with them, and that's how I'm working on my personal brand. Others, I wouldn't survive. So, having said that, if I were to encapsulate all the 10 points, 1 is look the part. 2 is make sure that your environment, your settings. First one is look the part. Look the part is, obviously you need to look because they judge you. So next one is environment. The complete surroundings, you make sure that it is supporting you. Third one is make sure the accessories that you have are perfect, that are in sync and are not distracting. Point number 4 is enthusiasm and energy. You must have it. You must be like the Red Bull that gives them the energy when they hear you. Point number 5 is obviously the voice. You don't have a proper voice. You are non-existent. Point number 6 is body language. The body language speaks. Point number 7 is create a trailer of yourself. It's like a version. When they hear you, they're like, wow, I must watch the movie. Point number 8, remember, content is king. It's end of the day, no matter what design you have on your CV, whatever, it's a content that sells. And no matter how flashy you are, your delivery matters. What you do, the work, that is your content. So in terms of interview, it is the substance that sells. Point number 9, remember, scripting is very important, and without having a perfect script, and yes, you must memorize the script. And point number 10 is your personal brand. It's your identification, it's your essence, it's who you are. It's like the Starbucks, the experience. So these are the 10 points, guys, for your Skype interview or for your video interview. I really hope that these points add value. I just let it go with the flow. I thought I'd give you these points so that it can help you. So anyway, these are the 10 points. Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed it, please do share it with others. Support the channel because YouTube requires likes. YouTube requires comments. It'll be great if you can share this video with others. If you have any questions, let me know at lloydmachedo.com. You'd like to contribute to the channel, please go to PayPal, lloydmachedo.com, $1, $5, $10. Money's money, it always helps. And if you need my professional service, please go to Think Personal Branding, and you can book my services accordingly. So this is lloydmachedo.com. This is Lloyd Machedo, Think Personal Branding, sharing with you his views on how to ace a video interview session. So thank you. Hope you enjoyed it. This is me saying goodbye for now. Take care.